We're coming to you live from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe in Huntington, West Virginia. If you haven't seen this place, it is Huntington's newest theme restaurant. And what better place to talk football for the next half hour. Hi, everybody. I'm Keith Morehouse tonight, joined by Matt Shepard, and welcome to Primetime Preview, live half-hour look at football, college and high school, Matt.
Yeah, for the next half hour, or for the next hour, we will talk college and high school football, all of your favorites, Marshall, West Virginia, the Bobcats, the Buckeyes, and the Wildcats.
What does it take to survive a gator attack in the swamp?
You just go down there and play, man. They ain't no different than any other team. They just stadium just called the swamp. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Byron Leftwich holds court as he talks about football, beating out basketball in his world. He definitely feels rich these days. Rich Rodriguez returns to his home state to coach his alma mater. The WVU ties that bind the whole family together.
We watched Tommy Bowden, and we heard about Neyland, but you never thought that this was going to be us. I mean, we're just those people,
Over in Columbus, he's not Woody Hayes, but Jim Tressel doesn't have to be. The new Buckeye coach already turning heads at Ohio Stadium.
When you get out here, it's you smell this grass and you look around Ohio Stadium. There's no place like this in the world.
Brian Knorr's personal playground is Athens, Ohio now. Can he take the Bobcats to the next level?
We've got the weapons. I think that it's our job as coaches to be able to we distribute the ball and let those guys utilize the talent we have.
And the barrel-chested quarterback with a double-barreled arm is back at Kentucky.
I got experience. I think that's the big thing. I've been in crunch time. I've looked into every one of my offensive linemen's eyes, my receivers' eyes, and running backs, saying, I've been here with you before.
And now sit back and enjoy the 2001 Primetime Preview.
Guess it's official now. It is football season. No doubt about it.
That's right.
In newsstands across America, the word has been out on the Florida Gators. They are the #1 team in the land. They have been ranked in 187 of the past 188 polls. That is the third longest streak in major college football history.
The days, Matt, of Marshall opening against Catawba and Morehead State are indeed over. Really doesn't matter what magazine you picked up, what preseason magazine you read. The Gators showing their teeth to the experts in college football, from Athlon to the USA Today Coaches Poll to Sporting News to the AP Poll. Most observers think Florida has the best chance to win a national championship.
Marshall's first test is tough. This is where the herd is going. It's called the Swamp. Probably the toughest place to play in the country. 85,000 fans pack Ben Hill Griffin Stadium every time the Gators play. Steve Spurrier is 63-4 in this facility. That is even better than Marshall's home record. The herd has played in front of big crowds before, but nothing quite like this.
And here's a little graphic, Matt, to demonstrate what we're talking about. The last 5 openers for the Florida Gators. Granted, the competition wasn't the greatest, but look at the blowout. Southwest Louisiana, it was actually Southern Miss that played Florida the closest, 21-6. Then the Citadel of the Southern Conference loses it in 98. The last 2 years they've opened against MAC teams. Western Michigan loses it 55-26, though they did kind of hang around till late, and the same story for Ball State, losers by 21 points. But you know what? Marshall quarterback Byron Leftwich isn't intimidated by this trip to the Swamp. Leftwich is as laid back as a college football player you could find. He grew up on the mean streets of Washington, D.C., which must have helped him endure a tough stretch last year when Marshall started 2-4, and a lot of people, Byron Leftwich excluded, had written the herd off. It was a tale of 2 seasons for Byron Leftwich.
Leftwich on 4th down, throws over the middle, ball tipped and intercepted.
That 2-4 start.
A light man coming, they throw it quickly, the hot read, here goes Watts at the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown. They caught the Broncos gambling and the herd made them pay.
But who could forget that gutsy 6-1 finish?
Once we got our 4 deck of cards, we start playing good towards the middle of the year and the end of the year. And I think it'll help us for this year. Going through that adversity last year, understanding about how when adversity strikes, you got to fight through it. And I think it'll help us out early on in the season this year also. Just to bring them up and just hold them a little bit. And that's all you need is a half a second. And that's what happened.
Leftwich, play action. Down the field, he has Watts. Watts breaks free, and he will score a touchdown.
Watching film is something you got to learn how to do. When I first got here, I wouldn't have seen none of that. I just would have seen the play. Oh, we got a touchdown, and not know how it happened and why it happened.
For Byron Leftwich, watching film is not as much fun as PlayStation, but almost. The 6'6", 240-pound junior has aspirations of playing at the next level. There's already talk of a possible Heisman candidacy. Kind of heady stuff to hear this stuff about you across the country, people talking about Byron Leftwich?
I mean, I guess it's great. You know, it's great for me to get publicity, and it's great for the university because if they say something about me, they saying something about Marshall University and the great program we have here. You know, that's why I started playing football. Basketball got a mind of his own, man.
And Leftwich had a choice. He averaged about 20 points a game in high school and was offered several Division I scholarships.
You know what I'm saying? Keith's gonna lead the league in assists, man. Keep giving me them things.
But Leftwich left his basketball back on the mean streets of D.C. He's just glad to get out of there and looking forward to a degree.
First guy to ever go to college out of my family. So, I mean, if I get my degree, my mother loved that. I mean, the football part is just an extra, you know. Just go out there just to have some fun. I got another 2 years of having fun, so that's what I'm gonna go out there and do.
This is one of those success stories that wasn't scripted, and Byron Leftwich seems to like it that way. Now get this, the collegefootballnews.com internet site says that Byron Leftwich will be the top player available in the 2003 NFL Draft. They think very highly of him, and remember, he says he will finish at Marshall. He's got 2 years left to play. At Florida, you know, the backup quarterback is only one Steve Spurrier thrown visor away from getting into the game. Spurrier changes quarterbacks about as often as most of us change socks, but he has decided to go with experience in the opener, so the starting quarterback will be last year's starting quarterback, Rex Grossman. Now, Grossman is a sophomore for the Florida Gators, and he helped lead that juggernaut offense, played very well, threw for 21 touchdowns, and led Florida to its first Southeastern Conference championship since 1996. Grossman beat out highly regarded Brock Berlin. Spurrier says Grossman won his job with a big-time performance in the Gators' final scrimmage.
I'm just glad for the opportunity. You know, I'm just, you know, I was a returning starter, so I'm glad that, you know, I stayed the starter. So, you know, I'm looking forward to playing smart and trying to eliminate some of the bad plays I made last year.
Now we'll talk a lot more about Marshall in the next hour. We'll go behind the scenes at the Bob Pruitt household. Bob and Elsie form a pretty strong team themselves. Hey, we'll check out the new video board at Marshall Stadium, instant replay. And now when you go to the game, you'll never miss that big touchdown. Plus, Matt and I will give you our predictions for Saturday's opener against Florida. Now over to Matt to talk about another pretty big ball game up Boston College way.
That will be a big one on Saturday. Of course, new coach is the theme in our region this year. We'll go over the changes in Columbus and Lexington, in Athens in just a few minutes. But in Morgantown, a legend is gone. The Rich Rodriguez era is all set to begin. For the first time in 21 years, someone other than Don Nealon will be roaming the sidelines at Mountaineer Field. Rich Rodriguez played for the Mountaineers in the 80s. He built Clemson's fast-paced offense into one of the most explosive in the country. Plans to do the same thing at West Virginia. The theme this year is Spot the Ball. So season ticket holders got a big jump in Marion County, more specifically Granttown, West Virginia. That is where Rich Rodriguez is from. He grew up just a short drive from Mountaineer Field, lived almost in the shadow of the field. And his parents, Vince and Arlene Rodriguez, they have to pinch themselves every day too. Granttown, West Virginia, population 700. Of course they know you at the post office.
How you been?
I've been great.
And at Vince and Arlene Rodriguez's house, not much has changed on the surface. Vince still mows his own lawn, but the new sign coming into town reminds them every day how different their lives are now.
You don't realize the hype that surrounds it. We've never, we watched Tommy Bowden, and, we heard about Nealon, but you never thought that this was going to be us. I mean, we're just those people.
Judging by all the family pictures inside their house, it's almost hard to believe Rich Rodriguez has a bit of a temper. His mom, though, remembers it well.
He did it at home. It's no different. I mean, that's still Rich. He got mad here and stomped around. So what was the difference? I mean, he did it when he was 2 years old. So why not do it when you're, 30-something?
When these country roads brought one of their own home to coach the Mountaineers, it captured the pride of the entire town. His old friends started the Rod Squad fan club.
And everybody wants a Rod Squad shirt, but we don't want to give them out, It's kind of like a personal thing.
It's been 21 years now since Rich led North Marion to a state championship. Seems like yesterday to his old coach, though, even if Rich is suddenly the most recognized man in the state.
I always think it's probably more important than the governor. I mean, people know Rich Rodriguez more than they know the governor's name.
And back at the Rodriguez house, that will take some getting used to. His father hopes Mountaineer fans will exhibit something that's almost second nature around peaceful Grant Town: patience.
I don't care what he's playing or what he's doing, he's got to win. There's no such thing as losing. And he'll try until he wins.
And that's the message from Vince and Arlene Rodriguez. By the way, they won't be making the trip to Boston for the opener, but they did buy a brand new big screen television, so they'll watch the game right there in Grant Town as Rich Rodriguez makes his debut. Now, when he arrived in Morgantown, the coach sent a message. Nobody's job was safe, and that included the quarterback, the starting quarterback from last year. Brad Lewis had to battle just like everybody else. But now Brad has won the starting quarterback job. He'll take the first snap against Boston College. Lewis played his best game in last season's Music City Bowl, throwing 4 touchdowns against Mississippi. Right behind Lewis is redshirt freshman Rasheed Marshall. Well, he'll see some playing time too.
We can take this offense and, it's just as far as the quarterback can learn and how far, what he can do with it. But, I'm really comfortable with it, and I think this time, back in the spring, there were some things I wouldn't have done that I'm doing right now, and very much quicker with getting rid of the ball and all that.
So Lewis has the experience, and he will get the nod against Boston College. No doubt Rich Rodriguez would prefer to open the season up against a gimme opponent at home. But you have to play the games you are scheduled, and with the Mountaineers going on the road in this series, that doesn't bode too well for them if history is any indication. As we take a look at the last 5 years, the home team has won this game every year. West Virginia taking it in 96, 98, and 2000, and 97 and 99. Boston College gets the win. A lot of players don't like opening up with a conference game. Not Avon Coburn. The earlier, the better.
I think it's easier because, you get focused faster. Because later on in the season when you start, okay, now you go get into the Big East schedule. Now we got to, but if you start off fast, we start off with a team, we just focus already. And we just know what we got to do.
So it's a tough way to open up the season, but Boston College certainly will be a big game for the Mountaineers. Time for our first timeout now, and when we come back, we'll meet all the new faces on the sidelines, and we'll go to Athens, Ohio. The Bobcats stayed within the family to hire a new coach, and he is a family man. We'll meet Brian Knorr.
And the Kentucky Wildcats think they picked the right guy in Guy Morris. He's got the toughest job ahead of all the new coaches.
And at Ohio State, John Cooper is gone. Jim Tressel is in. Can he bring a national championship to the Buckeye State?
As we go to break, let's take a look at the West Virginia players playing for pay in the NFL. We'll be right back, everybody. Randy Moss was once voted the best receiver in college football. Now he might be the best receiver in pro football as you look at everybody here at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe having some dinner and getting ready for football just like we are. Keith Morehouse, Matt Shepard with you. Back to have you here on the show, and glad you're here. You know, Matt, just 6 years ago, the thought of expanding Peden Stadium was laughable. The stadium was bad, but really the football was worse. Things have gotten a lot better on the hockey lately.
Exactly. The crowds have really increased over the years, and when the Bobcats open up the regular season home schedule against Iowa State on September 22nd, they'll do it in the expanded and renovated Peden Stadium. They've added 4,000 seats. They dropped the field 15 yards to give fans better sight lines, and they put a big hill on the one end zone for student seating. So certainly a big doings up at Peden Stadium for the Bobcats. Ohio also has a brand new head coach. It is 37-year-old Brian Knorr. He's not completely new to the program. He was the defensive coordinator the last couple of years, and he is truly a family man, a guy who works 100 hours a week, but still makes time for those who are very important to him.
All right, man, let's pull it up on Thomas Stevens.
Got a question.
See me afterwards.
For 5 months a year, this is Brian Knorr's family. He's like a father to 100 football players at Ohio University. And when the 90-hour work weeks are over, Knorr has his own version of the triple option.
Come on.
Wife Julie, daughter Katie, and twins, Brett and Reagan, always make it into his daily game plan.
I think it's important to have a strong wife, and my wife has done a great job with I have two 2.5-year-olds and a 5-year-old, and it seems like they're going in all kinds of different directions, but we get to spend some good time together, and you got to make sure that you utilize this small amount of time when you have.
It's a coach's job to develop the element of surprise, but the doctor turned the tables on Brian when he told him they were having twins.
I'm up. Pull yourself up. My next question was, is there any more? So.
It's hard. We try to, in the summertime when Brian has practice, we try to get up to practice every night. We take dinner up there, or we just hang out at the field. I mean, you see us up there quite a bit. Somehow it works.
Coach Brian Knorr.
Even last December, when Knorr found out he had just gotten his first head coaching job, his children made sure he didn't celebrate alone.
These days around our house, you never know who's going to end up in bed with Julie and I. Yeah, last night it was Reagan, so every night it's somebody new, but the night I was informed I had the job, that the whole family was sick.
And that's the way it goes. The last couple of years, the young twins have stayed home on game day. Now that Brian is the head coach, they'll get to go to Peden Stadium and watch some live football for the first time.
Matt, what is it about the Bobcats? They had the nicest head coach in college football, Jim Grobe, and they've hired the next nicest guy. Both tremendous guys, and good luck to Brian Knorr this season.
Maybe you can call him Mini Grobe.
Yeah, because they are both tremendous guys. You know, the Bobcats kick off the season tomorrow night against Akron, and you hate to say that the opening game is a must-win, but it's a divisional game for the Bobcats in the MAC, in the East Division, so you can't afford to slip up in this one. Of course, one thing about Brian Knorr, he's got a lot of veterans coming back. No rebuilding to do. 18 starters return, and that includes quarterback Dontrell Jackson. He led the Cats to wins over Minnesota and Marshall last year, but close losses kept Ohio out of the championship game. And Jackson says he has not forgotten that.
That's all we do is eat, sleep, drink football. You know, football is our life. And I think about when we came on the goal line twice against Akron, couldn't score. One big play against Miami, you know, and we would have been in the MAC championship playing for the title, you know, and we were just so close. But this year, you know, new day, need to come with it.
To come with it tomorrow night. Absolutely. Hey, the championship game moves to the winner of the West Division this year. Of course, it's been played at the stadium, but that was never guaranteed in the past years. If the preseason picks are correct, Toledo will host this year's championship game because they are picked to win the West Division. Now, in the East, you can see Marshall, Ohio, and Miami. The top three in the West is Toledo, Western Michigan, and Northern Illinois. Also in the East, we have Akron, Bowling Green, Kent, and of course Buffalo bringing up the end. Marshall is the champ, and to beat the champ, you have to beat the champ. Nobody's done that yet.
We know we're going to the MAC championship because we won't accept anything less. We play for championships. I mean, it doesn't matter if we, like last year, we went 0-4, and then we came back and won the MAC championship. Western Michigan beat us the first time in the regular season, but then we met them in the MAC championship and beat them. You know, I think we'll be on the same page from the get-go this year, and we'll be ready to play some ball.
Now, of course, Matt, Toledo beat the Herd badly last year, embarrassed them at the Glass Bowl, 42-0. They didn't get the chance to do it again. Western Michigan, however, won the West Division, of course, played, as Butchie said, in the championship game. The Rockets, though, they don't lose much, and everybody's looking at Toledo and Tom Amstutz, their new head coach. He replaces Gary Pinkel, who left to be the head coach at Missouri. He says the Rockets will pass more, utilizing the skills of all-MAC quarterback Tavares Bolden. The Rockets don't lack confidence, and many experts pick Toledo to go undefeated this year. How about that, Matt? Undefeated predictions.
They start off with Minnesota in the first one, and that is Thursday night as well, so they have a big opener. That one's at home.
At home, absolutely.
Time for another break right here, live from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, just about 20 minutes away from one of the greatest little high school towns in America.
That's right. That town is Ironton, Ohio. If you haven't been there, you ought to get there. The fans love their Tigers, and this year they have even more reason to cheer the Buckeyes. We'll tell you why. There may be an orange and black trail up Route 23 this fall.
And he's a quarterback who looks like a lineman. Kentucky's Jared Lorenzen faced a heavy quarterback battle in August, but thanks to a new diet, he is still the quarterback of the Wildcats. We're back with more on our Primetime Football Special. We are live at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Of course, there are lots of Herd fans here, but I'm sure if you look around close enough, you'll see some scarlet and gray mixed in as well. I'm Matt Shepard alongside Keith Morehouse. A ticket to an Ohio State game, never easy to find. Good news for Buckeye fans this year, at least there are a few more out there.
One thing about Ohio State, they never stop expanding the program, and this year they expanded Ohio Stadium. It wasn't too small to begin with, but now the Horseshoe Mat seats 100,000 people. They renovated this summer, and things are looking nice for the Buckeyes this season.
Huge place to watch a game.
That's right. You know, for years, many Buckeye fans were calling for the head of John Cooper. In January, they got it. After an embarrassing loss to South Carolina, Cooper got the axe, and Jim Tressel got the most high-profile job in college football. You know, you talk about Buckeye fans wanting a national championship. Well, this guy knows how to win them. He led Youngstown State to 3 titles in Division I AA in the 90s. He's an Ohio guy, and he says he'll bring some of the tradition and discipline back to the Ohio State program. Tressel makes his debut next Saturday when the Akron Zips visit. What an office this guy's got in Columbus.
When you get out here, it's, you smell this grass and you look around Ohio Stadium. There's no place like this in the world, and it just reminds you, when you're a paranoid coach, which most of us are, it just reminds you of you better get to work because there's a lot expected in this place.
Not hard to figure that out. He knows what he has to do. And when he got that job, he wanted to bring in assistant coaches who knew the state of Ohio. He didn't have to go far to find his linebackers coach, just to Ironton, Ohio. Jimmy Tracy joins us live now with the story of a couple of guys who are taking their orange and black north.
Hi, Matt and Keith. Few colleges in this country can match the tradition at Ohio State. And if you love high school football, there's no place like Ironton. So this fall, 2 former Tigers are switching the orange and black for scarlet and gray. Mark Snyder will be coaching the linebackers, and Reggie Arden hopes to make it on the field. As if Ironton fans needed any more reasons to head up Route 23 for an Ohio State game, they've now got a couple more. 2 of their homegrown stars will be wearing the scarlet and gray this season. However, one will be wearing pads, the other the coach's whistle. Mark Snyder and Reggie Arden are both living a dream.
It's been a long time coming, put the jersey on for the first time. It's real exciting when, opened the locker up today, saw my jersey in there. But, I committed so early, so it's finally here, it's time to go.
To be back where it all kind of started for me and to be with these guys, a great bunch of guys, and be with Coach Truss and be with you guys, it's awesome.
The 2 have taken quite different paths to the Horseshoe. Snyder from Marshall to Youngstown to Minnesota and now back home. Arden is a year out of high school playing for one of the most prestigious programs in the country. And they're working together. You see, Snyder is Reggie Arden's linebacker coach.
The one thing about Reggie, I don't have to get on him about his toughness or his work ethic. He understands football. It'll just be a matter of him maturing.
I think that's kind of important, especially to have my position coach. I was real surprised he came here. I was real excited when he's my position coach, especially.
And as the Buckeyes get ready for Akron on September 8th, the 2 former Tigers invite fans and friends to come up and see them on Saturdays in the fall. Just wear the orange and black of Ironton. You might blend in wearing red. And it's hard to believe Ohio State doesn't play football in the first official weekend in college football on September 1st, so they get a chance to rest and relax and watch some football instead of playing some this Saturday until the Akron Zips come on September 8th. Keith and Matt.
You can bet they'll be watching the Akron, Ohio game tomorrow night somewhere. They'll get together and watch that one.
Absolutely. Of course, Ohio State has never lost to a MAC team at the stadium there, so Jim Tressel certainly not planning on starting his career off with a loss to the Akron Zips. He'll get things rolling, and of course he has to win that last game of the year because that's why John Cooper is gone. He couldn't beat Michigan.
How things have changed in the Big Ten, Matt. Things are strange indeed. It used to be the days of the Big 2 and the Little 8, but no longer. Guess who's picked to win the Big Ten this season? None other than Northwestern. How about that? Here are the top 5, Northwestern, followed by Michigan. Those Buckeyes come in the 3rd position, followed by Wisconsin and Illinois. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Primetime Live, our preview from the Marshall Hall of Fame continues.
Kentucky's football program rocked by NCAA violations in the offseason. Did they bring in the right guy to clean up the program?
And behind the scenes at the Pruitt household, why Bob's wife Elsie might be the silent MVP of the herd. We are live at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. There is all kinds of memorabilia adorning the walls and trophy cases here. I'm Keith Morehouse. Matt Shepard, again, glad to have you back with us. You know, Matt, in Kentucky, the past couple of years, Cats fans took a ride on Air Mummy. Coach Hal Mummy brought in a wide-open offense, and he started to turn the Wildcats football program around.
But in January, Mummy stepped down amid recruiting violations. The school self-reported to the NCAA. They are awaiting the penalties. Some thought the Wildcats would want to start fresh. Instead, they hired a head coach from Mummy's staff. They hired Guy Morris, a no-nonsense defensive specialist. The Cats will not go around throwing the ball on every down anymore. They're going to slow things down just a little bit. Morris looks to mix things up more, and here's a change for Kentucky fans. They'll also play some defense. In the past, there was more scoring at Commonwealth Stadium than at Rupp Arena on some nights. Still, people aren't expecting much this year. Cats are picked dead last in the SEC. The new coach isn't buying that.
I really believe that we got a chance to be a good football team. And we want them to be good citizens and don't do something stupid that will cost us a chance to be a good football team.
So it's a rebuilding season, to say the least, in Lexington.
That's right, Matt. But again, the new guy is in charge, no pun intended. And now we're joined by Jimmy Tracy, a little bit of a quarterback controversy in camp. And Jimmy joins us with that story.
Yeah, Keith, you know, most quarterbacks in the offseason maybe work on arm strength or footwork or probably a multitude of other things. On the top of Jared Lorenzen's list, lose weight or else. He is not your prototypical college quarterback.
Lorenzen throws it over his head. Come on. That's not going to be a first down. I have never seen a pass completed like that.
Nor does he have the prototypical quarterback size and shape. At 6'4" and 275 pounds, Jared Lorenzen had a career year as a freshman, but the team didn't, finishing 2-9. There didn't seem anywhere to go but up for the sophomore, except on the scales, where he's on the way down.
I mean, I was too big last year to be playing college football, and Coach Hill and Coach Morris kind of put that in my head. I mean, this isn't just for football. There's no reason for me to be as big as I was just for after football.
So now he's gone from battling the bulge to battling for a starting position, one he won on Monday. The fact that he played every down until the final series of 2000 was certainly in his favor.
I've been in crunch time. I've looked into every one of my offensive linemen's eyes, my receivers' eyes, and running backs, saying, I've been here with you before.
One thing he doesn't know, his current weight, nor does he care.
I stay away from him. I don't like him. I don't want to know what I weigh. It doesn't really matter to me. I feel great. I feel like I'm in a lot better shape. I feel like I can, finally do some things running around.
Lorenzen is now counting on his newfound mobility to keep fans talking about what he does on the field and not how much he weighs off it. Of course, we know he's a pretty dangerous passer from what he did last year, but we'll have to wait and see what a thinner, more mobile Lorenzen will do for the Wildcats. Anything better than the 2-9 from a year ago. Matt and Keith.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy. I don't know what he can do any better than that one pass he threw over his head. That was pretty agile.
And I like what he says. I don't like scales. I stay away from him. I think about 90% of the people probably feel the same way. Of course, they're not college quarterbacks weighing 275, 280 pounds. But
that's right.
Certainly some weighty issues in Lexington.
Okay, thanks again, Jimmy, for your help. Coming up next, what do the Florida natives on Marshall's roster think about that trip down to the swamp? We'll talk live with Marshall special teams player and linebacker Trod Buggs in just a minute. Again, we're live at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe in Huntington, West Virginia, where they say, forget about the decorations, the food is outstanding. We'll be right back.
All the Herd players getting ready for the game with the Florida Gators down in the swamp, but some may want it a little more than the others. Those are the Marshall players who come from the state of Florida and who have come up north to play their college football. Guys like Trod Buggs, Marshall senior special teams whiz, linebacker, fullback. He does just about everything. He joins us live now. And Trod, I have to ask you, you grew up in Orlando, went to high school there. Did you grow up a Florida fan at all?
Actually, I did. I was a Florida State fan. But I take playing Florida anywhere I can.
Is there extra motivation for the guys from Florida to go down there in front of the home folks and do well?
It is, because with majority, of the players from Florida being from that Central Florida area, it's a way that our family can actually get to the game, and we get to show those Florida coaches what they missed out on by looking over us and not trying to get us to come play for them.
You know what it's going to be like in the swamp? Have you ever been to a game there or talked to people who have? So do you know what to expect?
Yeah, I've been to a few of the home games. It gets loud. It gets, get your nerves worked up when you look into the stand. You see the 85,000. But hey, the fans can't play the game, you know. It's played on the field, and it's only 22 on the field at a time.
You said you wanted to trash talk a little bit. The Herd's going to go down there, 4-touchdown underdog, but you guys are not ready to give in to anybody right now and not the #1 team in the country.
No, because I'll tell you what, I don't think any of those guys are related to Randy Moss or Clark Kent. You know, if they are, please come on, let me know about it. So neither one of those guys on that team is Superman.
Do the rest of the guys from Florida have that attitude too?
I mean, pretty much. I mean, we all know that they have to put their pants on one leg at a time. There's nothing special about those guys. I mean, when you go out and line up on Saturdays, it's time to play ball, you know. No matter what you rank, you know, what you look like, it doesn't matter. It depends on your heart, your attitude towards the game.
All right, Trud Bugs, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck down in the Swamp on Saturday. The Herd takes off for Florida Friday afternoon. They'll practice in the Swamp on Friday and then get ready for the game. Keith?
Okay, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Trod. Now, it has been much talked about the relationship between Marshall coach Bob Pruitt and Florida coach Steve Spurrier. Of course, Pruitt was the defensive coordinator at Florida for a couple of years, in 94 and 95 to be exact. Now, you go through Bob Pruitt's house and you realize he still likes Steve Spurrier. He's got mementos, Florida rings, bowl watches, all kinds of things on display because as a football coach, you always remember where you came from. And Bob Pruitt says it'll be a little bit sentimental going back to Gainesville.
Well, what it means to me is I'm going back to a place that I fondly remember. I remember the fans, I remember the arena, I remember the coaching staffs and the friendships that we made the 2 years we was there. Other than that, it's the next opponent, and the next opponent's always the most important.
You know, there's an old saying, behind every good woman is a decent football coach or something like that. But you know what? In the life of a football coach, they are gone from the house a lot. In fact, the hours are arduous, and sometimes it feels like they are never home. And then you realize how important it is to have a good woman around. And Elsie Pruitt is a fine example.
It's not real hard to figure out who lives here. You might call this the home on the range, where the big buffalo roams.
Well, it's our comfort zone. This is our home.
I did. It worked for us there, so.
But Elsie Pruitt has the run of this place, too. The decor? Well, you might call it early American football, with the coach's approval, of course.
You wouldn't believe how much impact he has. He really has his finger in about everything. Yeah. His opinion, he gives it.
Whether you ask for it
Whether I ask for it or not.
Inside, there are plenty of remnants of the Pruitt's time with Steve Spurrier and the Florida Gators. In fact, the layout of this house, exactly like the one the Pruitts lived in Florida.
Well, Bob likes the hot tub.
Does he?
Yeah.
After a hard day's work?
Yeah, he really does.
Must have something to do with water's calming effects, not unlike a wife's kind words after a tough loss.
You know by now what his moods are, right? Or what?
I hope so, yeah. I usually just agree with him right after the game. Whatever it is, I agree. Yeah.
For more than 40 years, Elsie has been the rock between the hard places for Bob Pruitt.
She gives me advice, tells me what to do. When I get out of line, she certainly straightens me back up. But I guess the best way to articulate our relationship, she's my partner. You know, the love of my life is always easy to say, but she's my partner.
Just what every tough football coach needs, a woman's touch around the house.
And you know what? Elsie doesn't want any of the glory. She understands it's Bob Pruitt as the head coach at Marshall. You get that respect and you get that visibility. But a wonderful woman. She tells me a good story, Matt. She says the most she's ever worried is if Marshall loses, which isn't often. And then when he comes home, she says, Bob, can you fix it? She says if he says he can, then she's okay with that.
You know, I've talked to her before the games a couple times at the stadium, and she says she does get nervous, but she gets nervous for the players, too, because she really likes these kids. I know last year when Byron left, which was getting his season started, she really liked Byron a lot, wanted to see him succeed in the worst way, and, of course, at the end of the season, he really did.
It's like anything else. When you form a relationship with these players, then obviously she wants to see them do well. Hey, we're not far from being done. As a matter of fact, we got a lot left to talk about. Coming up next, a shakeup in the high school ranks. A new man in charge at Parkersburg High School.
And we'll have a live conversation with a coach who has a very tough job ahead of him, the new man in charge of the Huntington Highlanders.
And we're going to pick out your favorite former Marshall player right now and see who they're playing for in the NFL. These guys get paid to play on Sundays. Take a look. It's a pretty impressive list. Welcome back to the Primetime Preview. You know what? We're already 2 weeks into the high school football season in Ohio and West Virginia and 3 weeks into it in Kentucky. And already the aftershocks are being felt in Parkersburg, where longtime Parkersburg head coach Marshall Burdett resigned under pressure amid allegations of misconduct. His replacement, pretty well known to the Parkersburg Big Reds, 28-year-old Craig Farnsworth. He's the offensive coordinator for Parkersburg, and he's also a 1991 graduate. Even played a year for Rich Rodriguez at Glenville. He played for Burdett at Parkersburg and now inherits the #1 team in West Virginia, but that Burdett influence will certainly live on.
Marshall taught us how to run a program like this, and I believe that there are several coaches here that would be capable of being in the position I am now. Like Marshall always said, one coach, one player doesn't make a team. Everyone involved makes a program, and that's the way it's going to be.
He will start off against Warren Local this weekend. You know what? It's an interim job, but of course Farnsworth will have every opportunity after the season to apply for the job permanently. Huntington High School's Highlanders have only their second coach since the school came into existence in the mid-1990s. He is none other than Richard Williams, an enthusiastic head coach, a former head man at Milton, and head coach at the old Huntington High School. He has tackled the tough job head-on, and he joins Matt Shepard with us live right now. Matt.
Hey, thanks, Keith. Richard Williams joining us live here at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Their first game was against Parkersburg just last Friday. Parkersburg won that one 44-7. Sorry to bring up the score. But you were also stunned by what happened in Parkersburg this week, you were telling me.
Oh, very stunned. All our dealings with Parkersburg and Coach Burdett were always first class. He always, whether he won the ball game or in the few exceptions when he lost, he always handled it with class, and knowing that and the program they had, we just were completely shocked, as I'm sure that everybody in the state of West Virginia was.
Now, they have the top team in the state. They looked great last week. Can their kids carry on? It's tough to take over a new program. You know that. Will their kids carry on? Do they have that much talent, do you think?
It's going to be an impossible situation, but if it's possible, they can do it at Parkersburg. They have facilities. They have the coaching staff. They have the administration. But the main thing they have a senior-dominated team this year. They're not getting ready for a ball game today or tomorrow. They've been getting ready for these ball games all the way back in their sophomore and junior years and stuff. So these kids will play hard for them, and I know that the coaching staff there will have them ready to play each and every week.
Your team comes out in the first week, and you did get beat, but a lot more enthusiasm out there, and that's what you're trying to build, kind of a family atmosphere for these kids to go out and have fun playing football.
Well, we're having a good time, but it's a whole lot more fun if you score more points than the other team. Parkersburg woke us up. We know we have some shortcomings. We'll have to work on quite a few things as far as getting ready for Spring Valley this week. But we aren't trying to build a team. We're trying to build a program such as the Parkersburgs, the Riversides, and some of those other people that you think about in the state of West Virginia. So we won't sacrifice one ball game for this situation of trying to win at Spring Valley. We're in it for the long haul at Huntington High, and we're going to build a program there of student athletes.
Okay, any one player out there, a couple players out there who have really impressed you after week one all across the state?
Well, I think you got to put Parkersburg is a team. That's what impressed people now. They're playing ball like it was the middle of the season instead of the first few games. It would be scary if they could improve like most teams do through the year. They're playing now like it was playoff time. With that in mind, it's hard for them to go up any higher. You know, as far as individual talent goes in the state of West Virginia, there's going to be some players going on and play at the next level this year in West Virginia, but Parkersburg as a team is playing football the way it was intended to play.
Okay, Richard Williams, new head coach at Huntington High School, taking on Spring Valley, and Phil Ratliff, the coach there, Keith, the former Marshall star, so it should be an exciting game and a big night of football Friday night coming up on Friday.
That's right, Matt. Thanks so very much. Coming up next, we'll take a look at some of the better high school players in our 3 states when we come back, plus a sneak peek at the new video board at Marshall Stadium. If you don't like the officials' call, you can check it out again. We'll be right back. We're live at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe just after this. The murals adorn the walls here at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. That's what they used to call the old man, Cam Henderson, as we are live for Primetime Preview. You know, most of us spend our summer times at the beach, but Arliss Beach preferred to do a little work this summer.
Kid's unbelievable. Kentucky started practicing football about 6 weeks ago now, it seems, and he's going to be practicing a lot of football. He's heading on to play for the University of Kentucky. High school season kicks it into high gear. Now, players in the Buckeye State and West Virginia started their seasons just a week ago, and the Ironton Fighting Tigers already proving they may be the team to beat, disposing of arch rival Wheelersburg handily in week 1. How about 42-0 in that game?
Matt, what a first week it was. That blowout was just one of a lot of blowouts across the region.
That's right. Offensive performances, certainly the key word, certainly what we were looking at, some of them mind-boggling, and we're calling this the year of the running back. Forget about 3 yards in a cloud of dust with this group of running backs. They can break one at any time. Start with Joseph Parker from Portsmouth. He's being recruited by everybody, and he started the season against Chesapeake with a 75-yard touchdown run. In the Bluegrass State, 2 backs may stage their own Kentucky Derby this fall. Ashland's Arliss Beach has already committed to play for Kentucky. He has scored 9 touchdowns in the first 2 games. And at Lawrence County, go West, young man. Michael West is normally going to the end zone. He scored 6 touchdowns against Midland. That's a career for some running backs. Cortez Lacey may only be a junior for George Washington, but he ripped through Riverside in week 1. He has power, speed, and strength. Despite being only 5'7", 160 pounds, Herbert Hoover's West Lane has no trouble finding the running lanes. He scored 5 touchdowns, ran for 253 yards in a 58-34 win over Nitro. And can you really talk about fast running backs without mentioning Spring Valley's Speedy Saunders? He's a threat to score every time he touches the ball. Plus, he has the wildest hair in high school football. And just when you think all of the top players are running backs, Jared Stevens from Hurricane can light up the sky with bombs. He passed for 2 touchdowns, ran for 3 more in the first week route of Capital. One guy we didn't mention who is incredible, Nate Wright, who transferred from Valley Fayette to Riverside this year, and he can fly.
You saw any of his highlights a year ago. You know that he can runs about a 4.4 40. A lot of college coaches are looking at him. But you know what? Football Friday night coming at you in just a couple of nights, and you can watch it every Friday at about 11:10 on WSAZ TV. This weekend we talked a little bit about Huntington High and Spring Valley, says Richard Williams and Phil Ratliff go up against each other. Ironton going to be back in action too also. And what about Spring Valley? South Point rather. Playing the Fighting Tigers in South Point with a big win against Vinton County last weekend.
And they'll need to have their A game to beat the Tigers, of course, at Tank Memorial Stadium. But Ironton really looks strong this year, too, in Ohio.
No doubt about it. Coming up next, Matt and I will give you our predictions on all these games that these teams that we're interested in are involved in this weekend. We may be wrong, but we'll give it a shot, right?
We'll try.
We're live at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe in Huntington, West Virginia as we count down to kickoff. College football coming at you.
Here's something we have to wonder if you'll ever see again. A Marshall football helmet right up against a West Virginia football helmet. In 1997, these two teams hooked up and played. So we'll see if they'll ever get back on the football field again.
One thing you can bet, fans from both teams really excited about the openers. West Virginia against Boston College, Marshall against Florida, and it's going to be kind of interesting come Saturday. You know, Matt, Marshall fans will have a new toy at home this season, a new video board. Has been built for Marshall Stadium, about $750,000 worth of electronic toys. And as Coach Bob Pruitt says, you got to keep on building up the program. The video board, Matt, will do a lot of things. In fact, we're going to show Marshall football today, the show I host with Coach Bob Pruitt, before the games. And you can also check the replays. If you're a fan, you don't like the call, you look up there and say, hey, ref, you missed that call. Remember, Marshall football today will air Sunday at noon, and then all the way through the season after that at 11:35 Sunday night. So a lot to talk about. Also, Matt, you can watch a lot of Marshall games, WVU games. Talk about our TV schedule this season.
We have a big schedule this year on WSAZ. Here's a look at the games we have: UMass and Marshall. Marshall then at Texas Christian. Of course, TCU looked great against Nebraska in their opener, so that'll be a tough one. Marshall then goes to Northern Illinois, one of the top teams in the MAC's West Division. Akron at Marshall. The Zips should bring a pretty good team in. Also, we have a couple of Ohio Bobcat games this year as we've signed on to carry the Ohio Bobcats. Iowa State goes to Peden Stadium, and they'll play that game at 1 o'clock on September 22nd. And then on October 27th, that should say, Kent State goes to Peden Stadium for a 1 o'clock game. And also West Virginia, Notre Dame from the big one in South Bend. 1 o'clock start on that one, October 13th. And we should say you'll have the Marshall games, of course, and I'll be up in the booth for the Ohio Bobcat games this fall.
Nice to have Ohio on board, and that's an up-and-coming program, obviously. So that Marshall-Ohio game could mean a lot come the end of the season in the battle for the belt. I guess it's time to do that deal we do every year where we've got to talk about our predictions. Don't hold us to these, but we're going to give it a try, and we're going to start, of course, with the big game. Ohio playing tomorrow night against the Akron Zips at the Rubber Bowl. That is a very difficult place to play. I think, Matt, the Bobcats have too much to play for, too much talent. I think they win by a field goal over Akron.
Well, they have 18 returning starters together coming back for this game. Guys like Tom Weilbacher, guys like Dontrell Jackson, who lost a couple close games last year, which kept them out of the MAC championship game for all intents and purposes. So they should go ahead and win that one 27-21, I think.
Kentucky and Louisville. The Wildcats going to have a tough time rebuilding with Guy Morris. I think Louisville has too much firepower with that tremendous quarterback that they've got. I think they win it by a touchdown.
I think Louisville, with that first game they played, that's big. 31-26, they're going to take it.
Now, the reason I got West Virginia losing this one, Mountaineer fans may get upset, but here's the deal. As we showed in our graphic earlier, the home team the last 5 years has the advantage. I think that's a close one. BC gets the win.
I just think the Mountaineer defense is going to be good. They'll win it by 1 point.
And there are the Florida predictions. I got Marshall losing at 40-21, and Matt, you got them losing by about the same margin, huh?
Much closer than the point spreads would indicate.
All right, that's your college football kickoff, your high school kickoff. We thank you very much for joining us from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. For Matt Shepard, I'm Keith Morehouse. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in football season.